Well, 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 well. Good morning. Hey, Mike. Do you know what day it is? Do you know what day it is? Hump Day! Hey, everybody. It's Wednesday, Hump Day, and we're going to just talk a little bit about today. There were some hearings yesterday. It was a weird hearing because, it was in the Senate, but it wasn't in the Senate. It was sort of in the Senate, but it wasn't in the Senate. But it was the Senate. If you know what I just said or what I just meant, well, more power to you. Play the intro. Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way, but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, yours truly, PDawg Night. And stop the music. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. It's Wednesday, May 13th, 2020. I got the a little reggae thing going here, although I just messed it up. There we go. I just realized yesterday, I went back and watched my replay. I do that every once in a while just to see what the sound levels are like. And I realized it was really hard to hear some of the videos I played yesterday. So you got to let me know that in the chat. I mean, that's not your fault. It's my fault for not paying attention. But now I think I've got it down. But hey, welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, yours truly, PDawg Night. Marty, that's me too. But on the internet, they call me PDawg Night. And I am so glad you are here. Now, we got a lot of stuff to try to get through today in a short period of time, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on introductions, but I am going to say good morning to everybody because that's just what I do. And I don't know if I fixed it. I didn't set up my sound effects today. Well, anyway, we'll see how it works. If it doesn't work, I'll fix it as we go along. First in the chat today is Richo, my friend from down under, who gets the bell. Yes, the bell worked. That's a good thing. Also, good morning to Adam Richard, who it looks like you were going to leave and then you're going to come back, but then you stayed, and I'm glad. I hope the smoke was good. Good morning, Adam Richard. Also, good morning to Advocatus Diaboli, the Devil's Advocate, Donatello Slappafellow, Tyler F., Molly Maggs, how you doing? D.I. Freighter, hello, my friend. Also, the Reverend Tex Watson is here, and Adam Richard, I already said Adam Richard, Chi-Town J, yo, Kessler, hiya. Also, good morning to Zero the Hero, Data Wasteland, Cynical Lindsay, Jack Fernstrom, Duck Dog, Jonas Pedersen, J Wolf. Did I already say Jay Wolf? No, I didn't already say Jay Wolf. Good morning, Jay Wolf. Jay Wolf sent me some good stuff on the Twitters today. I'm very grateful for that. By the way, if you ever want to send me articles on Twitter, you can put them at the hashtag PDK News. Now, I don't always get to them, but I do get to them every once in a while, and sometimes those stories are featured in the show. That is Twitter. I'm on Twitter right down there. See that? It says Twitter Minds a Gap, all the same which would be at PDawg Night. Also, if you'd like to donate to the show or just do super chats, you can do them at the PDawgNight.live site right there. It shows up in the chat every once in a while. It's in the description down below. It's not hard to find if you want to do that, or just have fun in the chat. I hope you enjoy being here. I enjoy having you, and I me, I just love to run my mouth, so it's pretty good. So today the theme of the day is listen to the experts, because yesterday, as we were doing our show yesterday, the experts were talking. You should have some hashtag hose. Oh, hashtag hose. There haven't been many hashtag hoes lately. For those who are newer to the show, a hashtag hoe is someone who on Twitter, when we do the Twitter trends, they're either Twitter trend thoughts or hashtag hoes. And those would be people who take all the trending hashtags of the day, they put them in into one tweet, and then they put some racy pictures of themselves. Now, Hump Day is full of hashtag hoes, so I never really go through that hashtag while I'm on the show, because it's a plethora of butts and balls, and I just don't like, showing butts and balls and boobs, the three B's, butts, balls, and boobs. So we don't do that anyway. So, but anyway, yeah, hashtag hoes or Twitter trend thoughts. We haven't seen a whole lot of them lately. Maybe we'll run into one today. Who knows? You never know. You never know when you're going to run into a hashtag hoe. Anyway, all right. So we're going to get into it right away, because there's these hearings yesterday were interesting. So I want to go through some of that. I'm going to give you one of the mainstream versions of what happened, and then I'll give you a couple, let's just say, specialty sites versions of some things that happened during the hearing yesterday. So if you go to ABC News, which we'll do right now, on the ABC News, their thought here is, the first thing was, when might schools reopen? 5 things to know about a Senate hearing on the coronavirus. And this is someone named Ann Flattery, Miriam Khan, Stephanie Ebbs from ABC News. Dr. Anthony Fauci warned of, quote, suffering and death if states reopen too soon. Uh-oh, we have issues. I'm not going through a day without my sound effects. I'm sorry, guys, but we're gonna have to clean up. We're gonna have to prop them up here. Hold on, give me a second, because what did I do here? Okay, here we go. I gotta fix a couple of these real quick, because this is gonna be a day where we're gonna need them. Oh, why did I do that? Oh, okay, that's right. So just, hey, talk amongst yourself for a second, because I have to fix a couple things here. Unfortunately, for some reason they always reset on me, and it's really frustrating. But I needed, that was really a necessary one, and I'm really just feeling like maybe this thing should work better. But it's one of these add-ons to my streaming software, and sometimes you have to just reset it more than everything else. So anyway, Boomer Tech strikes again. No, it's not Boomer Tech. This is supposed to be state-of-the-art tech, and it's just like, there's got to be a better way, but for some reason these reset every day, so I don't know. And by the way, Boomer Tech, oh, that didn't even work, did it? Where's here?
How dare you?
There you go. There's your Boomer Tech. Let's see. Give me one moment. Enjoy the show while I'm being unprofessional. That didn't rhyme, but it could have had I said it in a weird accent. Oh, hey, speaking of weird accents, I have a question for you that you can answer maybe in the chat while we're waiting. I was just thinking about this morning when I was at work. Remember a while back, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was speaking at, I think it was like a Brooklyn NAACP convention or something. And she was talking in that Whoa Vicky voice. If you know who Whoa Vicky is, that the white girl who says she's black and she talks like, she kind of has this, she plays this really weird accent, right? And it's kind of a cross between black and Southern hick. But, so AOC was talking in that Whoa Vicky voice. And I was wondering this morning, and she said, oh yeah, and people were criticized her for it. And she said something to the effect that, oh, was that all on screen? Jesus, I didn't even know I was doing that. And so she said something to the effect, oh, well, when I get back into where I'm from, sometimes I talk differently. Let me ask you a question. Has anybody since that time, that was like about a year and a half ago, has anybody since that time heard AOC speaking in her Whoa Vicky voice? I was going to ask that question. In fact, let's ask that question on Twitter. I know this is not the most important thing right now. By the way, thank you, Jay Wolf, Cynical Lindsay, Chi-Town J, Tyler F, for tweeting out the show today. I appreciate that greatly. In fact, I'm going to do a few little likes here. Did a like there, and I'm going to retweet that. I'm going to retweet that. Thank you so much. Now let's ask this question on Twitter. Out of curiosity, did I spell that right? Curiosity? No, I didn't. Let's spell check that right now. Whoops, I hit an extra letter in there. Out of curiosity, comma, has anyone heard AOC talk in her Whoa Vicky voice lately? Let's see if anyone knows what that means. All right, let's get into this article at ABC. Back to ABC here. All right, when might schools reopen? 5 things to know about a Senate hearing on coronavirus. Dr. Anthony Fauci warned of suffering and death if states reopen too soon. By the way, good morning, Maddie. Good morning, James Colley. Good morning. Someone else came in here since I got on stream. I'll find you later, my pretty. I don't know who it was, but anyway, Zero the Hero. Good morning. I think I said hi to you already, though. All right, we're kind of caught up. All right, so the nation's got a few answers on when life might return closer to normal, as America's top health officials warned on Tuesday that there's still much that scientists don't know about the novel coronavirus, including its impact on the children. Testifying remotely via video before a Senate where Anthony Fauci, director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, Stephen Hahn, head of the Food and Drug Administration, Robert Redfield, director of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, and Brett Giroir, an assistant secretary in the Department of Health and Human Services, who is leading a national effort on testing. Let me fix this here. Back to current chat. Good morning, Straight Sith Mail. Here are 5 things to know about their testimony on when schools and businesses might open. Did they leave it? They had a video on here? Okay, they did not. Fauci warned of suffering and death if states reopen too soon. The nation's top infectious disease experts sternly, that's a tough word, sternly. Now, I watched some of this. I never saw him being stern, but anyway, they describe it as sternly warned lawmakers that their home states will trigger an outbreak and set back their economic recovery if they move too soon to reopen schools and businesses. He repeated his plea for states to follow general guidelines that call for areas to reopen slowly and only if cases decline for 14 days. Many states have pushed back on the recommendations and reopened without following them, which Fauci said was a bad idea. Hello, this is Kyle. There's a real risk that you will trigger an outbreak. That's funny. You know, I wasn't even trying to do Fauci's voice, but you know how he always sounds like he's hoarse? There's a real risk that you'll trigger an outbreak that you may not be able to control, he said. Interesting. By the way, I do have my cup of reparations coffee with a little tiny bit of cough syrup in it. Hopefully I can keep the coughs down to a minimum. The coof. I don't have the coof though. I just have a cough that's been lingering for a while. Anyway, what's more, he added, is that the resulting suffering and death could even set you back on the road to trying to get economic recovery. Senator Paul went after Fauci, and Fauci pushed back. Oh, this is interesting wording. Following Fauci's repeated warnings about opening schools and businesses too soon, it became clear that at least one senator was running out of patience. Senator Rand Paul, a Kentucky Republican, who was the first senator to test positive for the virus, called it a huge mistake not to let kids to return to school sooner, and called the virus relatively benign outside of New England. Whoa! That doesn't sound like Dr. Paul. Oh, I'm sorry. I blew it. I was going to say, it doesn't sound like this this senator is very smart, is he? Oh, wait, Dr. Paul, Senator Dr. Paul's a doctor. Anyway, I think we ought to have a little bit of humility in our belief that we know what's best for the economy. And as much as I respect you, Dr. Fauci, I don't think you are the end all, Paul said. Fauci pushed back, insisting his advice is based on science and is not on the economy. And he said humility was needed when considering how the virus might impact children. Think of the children. Hello, Zebulon Pike. Good morning. Think of the children. Please, think of the children. I'm very careful and hopefully humble in knowing that I don't know everything about this disease, and that's why I'm very reserved in making broad predictions, Fauci said. Paul was undeterred, later telling reporters, we need more people saying enough is enough. Leave us alone. Let's see if they got a little clip here.
So I think we ought to have a little bit of humility in our belief that we know what's best for the economy. And as much as I respect you, Dr. Fauci, I don't think you're the end all. I don't think you're the one person that gets to make a decision. We can listen to your advice, but there are people on the other side saying there's not going to be a surge and that we can safely open the economy, and the facts will bear this out. But if we keep kids out of school for another year, what's going to happen is the poor and underprivileged kids who don't have a parent that's able to teach them at home are not going to learn for a full year. And I think we ought to look at the Swedish model, and we ought to look at letting our kids get back to school. I think it's a huge mistake if we don't open the schools in the fall. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, can I respond to that even though there are only 32 seconds left?
Yes, and you might make it clear whether or not you suggested that we shouldn't go back to school in the fall.
Well, first of all, Senator Paul, thank you for your comments. I have never made myself out to be the end-all and only voice in this. I'm a scientist, a physician, and a public health official. I give advice according to the best scientific evidence. There are a number of other people who come into that and give advice that are more related to the things that you spoke about the need to get the country back open again and economically. I don't give advice about economic things. I don't give advice about anything other than public health. So I wanted to respond to that. The second thing is that you use the word we should be humble about what we don't know. And I think that falls under the fact that we don't know everything about this virus. And we really better be very careful, particularly when it comes to children, because the more and more we learn, we're seeing things about what this virus can do that we didn't see from the studies in China or in Europe.
That's because,
for example, right now, children presenting with COVID-19 who actually have a very strange inflammatory syndrome, very similar to Kawasaki's syndrome.
Right.
I think we better be careful if we are not cavalier in thinking that children are completely immune to the deleterious effects. So again, you're right in the numbers that children in general do much, much better than adults and the elderly, and particularly those with underlying conditions. But I am very careful and hopefully humble in knowing that I don't know everything about this disease, and that's why I'm very reserved in making broad predictions.
Okay, so now that's interesting. It's funny because I was talking with Lady Boomer last night, and we were talking about this issue with the Kawasaki's disease, and which they don't seem, or it's similar with there's a condition they've seen. I think a total of 77 children I think in the New York area, I believe, that have come down with this during this same time, came down with this condition that's very similar to Kawasaki's disease. And I was talking to Lady Boomer. She was like, well, it could be related. She, by the way, my wife is a registered nurse and used to be a pediatric nurse. And that could be related to this, or it may be completely something else that happened in that area in New York City. So who knows? But yes, that's very good. So anyway, moving on, the federal government claims it can dramatically ramp up testing to some 50 million per month. Notice they say claims. It's one of those things. I laugh because it's if they believe something, they will tell you they did this thing. Like if it's Fauci who says something, Fauci said this. But if it's someone they don't like, it's always X claimed this. It's kind of funny. Good morning, Katie the Skate. How you doing? All right, so I'm just funny. Even as President Donald Trump has downplayed the role testing will play in reopening America, several lawmakers said they want widespread access. Gerard, the HHS official who took a lead on testing, said by September, the U.S. will be capable of performing between 40 million and 50 million tests per month. Now, that's interesting because for example, when I do my daily tracking, and I put out a tweet almost every day, but sometimes every other day, when I compare the numbers of cases and deaths in the United States with our 328 million people, compared to the cases and deaths in the combined countries of the UK, Spain, France, Italy, and Germany, which is a total of 321 million people, because I think that's a fairer comparison. One thing they did during this Senate hearing a lot was compare us to South Korea, which pisses me off. If you've been here at any point in this show, that comparison pisses me off more than anything. But when I'm comparing those two areas, the United States and those 5 countries, I've noted that, for example, between Sunday and Tuesday, the United States completed sub 895,000 tests over that 2-day period, which is roughly 400,000 tests a day. So you take, let's say 400,000, let's get out the old calculator here. I should be able to do this in my head, but 400,000 times 30, I'll just stay a 30-day month. That's 12 million tests a month. So they're saying they could probably ramp it up to about 1.5 million tests a day, which they have. So that's interesting that the way they frame this is the federal government claims it can dramatically ramp up testing. But just that's an interesting little thought there. He wouldn't say, though, if that scale would be enough to reopen schools. Well, if you can do 50 million tests a month, that means you can, oh my God, to open schools. Come on. So far, we don't have any really evidence that this is a really super dangerous disease for kids. In fact, we have the opposite evidence that very few children, do it for the children, are susceptible to this disease. Anyway, he wouldn't say, though, if that scale would be enough to reopen schools, saying it would depend on a community's situation. And Redfield and other officials said they weren't prepared to offer more specific guidance than what the federal government has already offered. Quote, "We know that testing needs will go up over May and June as we progressively open, and we will do our best to predict the amount of tests needed," Gerard told senators. Overall, Gerard said the goal is making as many tests available to states if they want them. And, some probably aren't going to need them as bad, but you know what? Now that we have tests we can use, they're driving me crazy. And then finally, Still, classes this fall are not a guarantee. Nearly every lawmaker wanted to know about schools. Senator Lamar Alexander, Republican of Texas, the panel's chairman, asked when his state college students might feel comfortable returning to the classrooms. You know what? The more I learn about this, probably should have left the kids at school during this whole time. Then they're not home seeing grandma and getting her sick if they get sick. Because the asymptomatic people, probably would have been better off at school if they were students, right? You know what I'm saying? Now you bring them home and that they're stay-at-home order, stay at home with their parents. What if their parents are in their 50s or 60s? What if their parents have health problems? Should have left the college students in college. That's what they should have done. But that's just me. Anyway, when students might feel comfortable returning to classrooms, while the committee's top Democrat, Patty Murray of Washington, wondered how kids could pile onto school buses and eat in cafeterias. Oh no! Wouldn't widespread testing help reopen the nation's college campuses and schools? Senator Alexander said by scaling up to 50 million tests per month should give every principal and college chancellor some reassurance. I'm not worried about them as much as I'm worried about the elderly. You know what? They made these hearings. It's all about the children. Oh no, the children will be fine, at least as far as we know so far. Now, if something changes, yeah, they'll have to fix that. But one issue with testing that health officials have noted is that a person can carry the virus without exhibiting symptoms, and testing only determines whether a person poses a risk at that particular point in time. So now what do you want? You want to be able to test 50 million people a day, every day? Test them every day of the week? At one point, Fauci noted that a vaccine won't likely be ready by fall and that effective treatments remain elusive, but he later clarified that cases in a region and its ability to handle an outbreak, not the availability of a vaccine, is a bigger factor in determining whether schools should open. It would depend on the dynamics of the outbreak in the region where the school is, he said. I'm going to skip that one. And then also, Fauci defends Obama and Trump. Mitt Romney. Clearly Mitt Romney's not happy with President Trump, and President Trump's not a fan of Mitt Romney. And so this is the one that I actually listened to when I turned it on for the short period of time I was able to turn it on. Utah's GOP Senator Mitt Romney, who voted in favor of impeaching the president earlier this year. Yes, that's the most important thing that you could have put in this story, because he just wanted to remind you, didn't you, ABC News? Sought to get Fauci on the record about whether former President Barack Obama was to blame for the lack of a vaccine. And I think Trump made a mistake saying that he was, because he's not. I'll tell you about that in a minute. Trump has repeatedly blamed Obama for problems with the national stockpile and insisted he inherited his predecessor's mess despite spending 3 years in office before the pandemic hit. No, Senator, not at all. Clearly, President Obama nor President Trump are responsible for not having a vaccine, Fauci replied. Now, it's interesting he said a vaccine. Because really, he should have been asking, were they to blame for not having testing as fast as we could have it? That's a whole different question than a vaccine. A vaccine, I forgot he said vaccine. I always thought he was talking about testing. Anyway, Fauci also denied having a confrontational relationship with the president and said he provides Trump his best advice based on science. Quote, he hears it, he hears that, he respects it, Fauci said. He gets opinions from a variety of other people, but in no way, in my experience over the last several months, has there ever been any confrontational relationship between us, he added. Well, there you go. Here, is this here? Let's see what this says here.
The mainstream media and indeed some of my colleagues in the Senate seem to want to paint each of your relationships with our president during this wartime effort as confrontational and lacking consensus. Can you categorically say here to the American people today whether this is true or untrue? From your testimony today, I've seen a very coordinated effort to address this with the administration to combat this pandemic. Can you give me a sense of whether what the characterization is, whether it's true or untrue? Thank you. I'd ask
Real quick. Good morning, Amy. How are you?
Dr. Fauci to answer that first.
Yes, no, there is certainly not a confrontational relationship
And liberal heads exploded all over the country when he said this.
between me and the president. As I
Oh,
mentioned,
wait. No, I shouldn't say liberals. Not liberals. No. It's Trump-hating liberals, but mostly the press. Their heads exploded when they heard this because they wanted to write something else.
many times I give advice and opinion based on evidence-based scientific information. He hears that, he respects it, he gets opinions from a variety of other people, but in no way, in my experience over the last several months, has there been any confrontational relationship between us.
Oh, now that's
Thank you, Dr.
disappointing.
Redfield, Dr. Hahn.
Again, I would echo what Dr. Fauci said. We're there to give our best public health advice, and that's what we do. It's grounded in data and science. And I've always felt free to give the best public health advice that I think needs to be given at the time, and it's always been done in a very professional way.
Okay, I don't need to hear the other guy's answer. Dr. Fauci has already said to these people, at least not to the senators, but he already said it to the media in one of the press conferences. Dr. Fauci said, yes, the president is actually moved on every piece of advice Dr. Fauci has given him. For example, when he was saying that they it was Dr. Fauci who suggested they should shut down travel from China. The very next day, that's what they did. It was Dr. Fauci who said they should include shutting down travel from Europe. And the very next day, Trump did. It was Dr. Fauci who said they should also include the UK. And the very next day, Trump did. So clearly, and that's what Dr. Fauci said in a press conference. I should find that one. I need to look that one up. But, so yeah, he has been listening to his advisors. Maybe, just maybe, to his detriment. Anyway, so that's an interesting take by ABC News. Now let's get into how some of the other media discusses this. PJ Media, Senator Rand Paul questions Fauci, drops a bomb in the Senate hearing. Senator Rand Paul had the best 5 minutes in the first 2 hours of the hearing in the Senate Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee today. It is clear he has been abiding by shelter-in-place orders because his hair and beard look dangerously close to qualifying him to join the cast of Duck Dynasty. However, his questions could not have been more on point. Dr. Rand Paul took over for questioning. He began by challenging Dr. Fauci on the media narrative that there is no evidence that patients who survive coronavirus have immunity. To be helpful, Paul pointed out the following. 1. In experiments, rhesus monkeys affected with COVID-19 can't be reinfected. Studies have shown plasma recovered from COVID-19 patients neutralizes the virus in the lab. Interesting. In lab experiments. 3, the entire premise of convalescent plasma treatment mentioned by several on the panel as a potential treatment currently in trials is that recovered patients develop immunity capable of killing the virus. Number 4, recovering patients across the board are showing significant antibody response. And we know SARS and MERS coronaviruses with similar clinical presentations confer immunity for at least 2 to 3 years. Now, I haven't heard any of this before yesterday. And that's, you know what? Dr. Paul, because he is a doctor, probably has been looking up this shit. And so what Paul then stated his views that the truth is the exact opposite of the media narrative. There is very good evidence that recovered patients will have some durable immunity, and recovered workers in industries like meat packing. Good morning, no room for squares. Meat packing should be reassured there is a strong likelihood they will not get reinfected. He then referenced that Dr. Fauci had said publicly that he would bet it all that survivors of COVID-19 have some form of immunity and asked him to set the record straight. Dr. Fauci responded that it is indeed likely. Then he added the standard disclaimers that we won't know for sure and for how long. For years, he did concede you could make a reasonable assumption that recovered patients have some immunity. Paul concluded, saying maybe a better way to frame the issue of immunity was to say, in all likelihood, recovery indicates immunity for some period of time. The public needs to hear Paul's presentation, but you can confidently bet on the fact that the media narrative won't change. Well, you know what? That isn't the part of the questioning that you're seeing from the media. You're seeing the part where he said something not so nice to Paul. Let's see what he did here. Then Paul moved on the topic of children returning to school and students returning to college. He pointed out that discussing mortality rates becomes necessary in determining public policy, and those rates for ages 0 to 18 are near zero. That's what I was just saying. He then pointed out the mortality in New York between the ages of 18 to 45 years was 10 per 100,000 cases. If they even have 100,000 cases. That's just the rate. That doesn't mean they've had 100,000 cases. That's the rate. 10 per 100,000 cases. What he did note is that these cases are often explained by underlying conditions such as diabetes, cancer, and obesity. He also said we need to observe with an open mind what has happened in Sweden, where children have continued to go to school and almost no restrictions were placed on businesses or the public. He pointed out the mortality rate in Sweden is lower than in many other European countries, and there's really no one arguing the country's results are not acceptable. He then tore into modeling. Paul said the models have gotten more wrong than they've gotten right. Oh, wait, what happened? Oh, that didn't work. There we go. In his home state of Kentucky, there have been fewer deaths from COVID-19 than from an average flu season. He called the experience outside of New York and surrounding states relatively benign, and the idea of a national approach is ridiculous. So anyway, then the idea of listening to health experts. Here, let's see how much of this they have on here. I'm not going to do 7 minutes of this. Here, and then let's see what he say here. Really, he said, quote, really the history of this, when we look back, will be wrong predictions after wrong prediction after wrong prediction, starting with Ferguson in England. I think we ought to have a little, okay, we saw that piece of the puzzle here. While I believe this was a shot from Paul at Democrats and the media for over-reliance on Dr. Fauci as a tool to drive some standard approach to the virus response nationwide, Fauci did respond. He said he never made himself out to be the end-all in all of this. That's debatable. Well, the media has, though. If you ever watch, well, especially on Twitter, but Twitter's a shit show, it's always, you should listen to Dr. Fauci. Listen to Dr. Fauci. Listen to the experts. Listen to the experts. That's why I named this stream. Listen to the experts. Good morning, Becca Farley. Listen to the experts. Blah, 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 blah. Hello, Gunfox. How you doing? I see you there too now. Okay, good morning. He has been a ubiquitous presence in media to the exclusion of other experts and doctors who are actually treating patients. He testified from home, yet someone leaked the theme of his testimony to the New York Times. Headlines trumpeted that this was Dr. Fauci's testimony, yet it was often the other experts, Admiral Brett Gerard, Dr. Robert Redfield, and Dr. Stephen Hahn, who provided the detailed information regarding testing and treatment that the senators were interested in. And in the first 2 hours, Democrats gave Dr. Fauci every opportunity to utter some version of the previously leaked phrase, needless suffering and death. Senator Paul gave voice to the many in the public who are more than ready for a local approach, people who understand that our political leaders are not accountable for how a virus behaves. They are simply accountable for doing the best they can to provide the resources and services to manage potential outcomes and keep the public informed. According to Dr. Admiral Gerard and Dr. Redfield, state leaders are actively engaged in the process of resource planning to guide the production of needed supplies and allocations of resources for surveillance and contact tracing. As the leaders of the tactical response, these men have emphasized that the response will be data-driven, not model-driven. Thank you! Thank you. Thank you. As Vice President Pence reiterated so often as the task force leader, the response is locally driven, state managed, and federally supported, as it should be. Dr. Fauci is not the only voice we should be listening to. At this point, predictive models have proven to be nearly useless. Senator Paul hit the head on that nail with a sledgehammer. I'm sorry, I couldn't resist throwing out a little sledgehammer. I wanna be your sledgehammer. Okay, I'll stop singing. All right, now another take on Rand Paul. Rand Paul's so-called attack on Dr. Fauci was actually a reasonable point the doctor agreed with. Paul said some schools could be allowed to open. Fauci agreed, not exactly a clash of visions, because a lot of people wanted to hear, good morning, I didn't even see you, Selector Boy.
Yeah, boy.
All right, Senator Rand Paul attracted national media attention yesterday after he posed a pointed question to Dr. Anthony Fauci, director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, about reopening schools. Their exchange came during the Senate Health Committee hearing attended virtually by Fauci on whether states can and should begin to relax aggressive social distancing rules. Fauci urged caution, warning that reopening the economy too quickly risked spreading COVID-19. Paul used his time to criticize the existing coronavirus modeling, which has been more wrong than right. He respectively told Fauci, who along with Dr. Deborah Birx has been President Donald Trump's top advisor on the science of the pandemic, that the doctor is not the be-all and end-all in terms of decision-making, and he asserted that some schools should be allowed to reopen depending on local conditions. Like, in South Dakota, for example, or even Minnesota or Alaska. I don't know, whatever. All right, we kind of got the gist of what's going on with between Rand Paul and Fauci, and really Fauci wasn't. The media is going to make it out, or at least what little media I saw yesterday, made it out to be this big clash between Rand Paul, and some people are just ripping on Rand Paul. But Rand Paul's was absolutely reasonable. But Paul's remarks earned him a thunderous denunciation from a mainstream media that views impugning Fauci's godlike status as blasphemy, and heaps of praise from right-wing pundits who have largely decided that Fauci is some sort of anti-Trump operative. In reality, of course, Fauci is neither a god nor a member of the deep state. He's a smart public servant whose guidance is one piece of information that policymakers should take seriously when deciding how to proceed. Indeed, that seems to be how Fauci sees himself. He has consistently stated that he is only qualified to advise the president on the science of the pandemic. In fact, he answered Paul's question by confirming that he is not the end all, and that final decisions will be made by the president in consultation with other advisors who have expertise on other matters, like the effects of lockdowns on the economy. Hey, so yeah, I agree that Fauci's answer is probably appropriate there. Let's see here. Fauci even appeared to agree with Paul's underlying point, though he was more concerned about the possible negative effects on children and health than the senator. Fauci eventually conceded that in a country as vast as the U.S., it would make sense to have a different policy in different areas. Hey, you know what's funny about that? Because if you look at the EU, do you notice how the EU didn't decide to have one giant response for all the members of the EU? And really, geographically, that kind of makes sense for us too, right? Because of the vast stretch of land between places and different whatever. Oh, Nazis don't lick elevator buttons. Why are we talking about licking elevator buttons? Only Nazis don't lick elevator buttons. Not licking elevator buttons kills nurses. Not licking elevator buttons is hate speech passing on. Okay. Oh, good God. Okay, so all right. Anyway, so yeah, I don't think I don't see Dr. Fauci as a hero, nor I see him as a villain. But I do think we've been lionizing him just a little too much. You know, yes, the science, the models, blah, blah, blah. But now I like the idea of data-driven decisions, not model-driven decisions. Because the models, like Rand Paul said, have been pretty bad. All right, moving on. Dr. Fauci, we do not have complete... This is another thing that you're going to hear a lot. We do not have coronavirus completely under control. Elizabeth Warren... she asked, okay, so her question, right? So, let's see, where did she say? Elizabeth Warren on Tuesday asked Dr. Fauci during a Senate Health Committee hearing about whether he believed the virus was contained. Okay, this just, first of all, Senator Warren, this is not like, for example, the 40,000 head of cattle on the ranch got out of the fence, okay? You can contain the cattle and get all the cattle back in the fence or back on the ranch. But this is a virus. It's not like cattle's leaving the ranch. Okay, so having it contained? I thought it was a dumb question. Anyway, here, let me just play the clip here. See how, hopefully it's not.
In the past 16 weeks, over 1.3 million Americans have been infected with coronavirus.
Another thing all the senators did that I heard, every single one of them, especially the Democrats, every single one of them talked about, well, we have 1.3 million people infected with this virus and over 80,000 dead. Did they all have, here's the thing, when they have these kind of hearings, every senator has to get out the talking point that they're trying to get, because what they're all trying to do is to make sure that they get on their local TV station, or in the senator's case, the TV stations around their state, so that their question sounded really important. And so they don't just ask the questions. They all have to make a little speech or statement, and this is Republicans and Democrats. They all got to make a little speech or statement that they want to make sure gets in the headline. And if they're lucky, they might actually get in the Washington Post. Well, the Democrats will, the Republicans probably won't, unless it's Rand Paul who pissed off the Washington, the media, and then he'll be in there. They'll be denouncing him, but whatever. So anyway, let me finish your question here.
That about 80,000 people have died and 33 million people are out of work.
Yes, Dr. Fauci already knows that.
You have advised 6 presidents. You have battled deadly viruses for your entire career. Mm-hmm. So I'd just like to hear your honest opinion. Do we have the coronavirus contained?
Your honest opinion. Oh no, Dr. Fauci, I want you to lie to me. I want you to lie to me like No, I didn't almost tell this joke. I'm not telling that joke. Lie to me like Pinocchio with a horse sitting on his face. No, I did not say that out loud at all. I did not. Okay, here we go.
Senator, thank you for the question. Right now, it depends on what you mean by containment. If you think that we have it completely under control,
you never contain.
I mean, if you look at the dynamics of the outbreak, we are seeing a diminution of hospitalizations and infections in some places such as in New York City, which has plateaued and started to come down, New Orleans, but in other parts of the country, we are seeing spikes. So when you look at the dynamics of new cases, even though some are coming down, the curve looks flat with some slight coming down. So I think we're going in the right direction, but the right direction does not mean we have by any means total control of this outbreak.
And it's a virus, so you never have total control of the outbreak. There is no way to have control of the outbreak in a free society. Now, if we want to go full on Wuhan, where the Chinese government blocked all exits to the city and came around and started barricading people's in their homes and forcing them to stay there until they either recovered or died, then sure, we can have a totalitarian state like that. But remember, just remember, everyone, that this is the Donald Trump era, and you've already been calling him a dictator, and I don't think you want him to be more of a dictator, right? Right? You say he's a dictator. Ooh, well, if you want to make him a dictator, let's go. I don't want that. I kind of like some of the things, most of the things, yeah, whatever, most of the things he does. But I don't want him to be a dictator. I don't want any president to have that much power, ever. Ever. I don't want the federal government to have that much power. I don't want my state government to have, I don't want my governor to have that much power. I don't want any single individual to have that much power. I want checks on their power, not give them more power.
So the right direction, as I understand it, we have about 25,000 new infections a day.
Yes, because now we're doing 400,000 tests a day. So we're finding them. Are they new infections or just new people who they found have it? Do they have symptoms? Are they asymptomatic? We're doing 400,000 tests a day, and that number is growing. Just saying.
And over 2,000 deaths a day. I think those are the right numbers, and some are estimating we could be at 200,000 cases a day by June. Is that right, Dr. Fauci?
I don't foresee that as 200,000 new cases.
And as we get into the summer months, as the sun, more sunlight and more heat, as we're seeing in all these countries that have more sunlight and more heat already, how the infection rates aren't going up. Now, again, that particular study from the University of Maryland hasn't been peer reviewed yet, but you look at the numbers around the world, and all the warm climate countries have very few cases, despite the fact that they have cities that are more densely populated than New York City. Cairo, Egypt. Egypt doesn't have many cases. You name it. Even India. New Delhi is far more densely populated than New York City, but yet they have a tiny fraction of the number of cases. I think the climate thing is something, I don't know why no one's talking about it. It seems to make sense. If you look on that Worldometer and look at all the countries, because it's in every country now, weather has something to do with it.
June, I am hoping and looking at the dynamics of things starting to flatten off and come down, that we will be much, much better than that, Senator. I mean, I think that's really
now. Just so I understand.
Now, she just wants to, it's funny how she wants to argue, because she wants him to say what she wants him to say, and he's not doing it. That's, one thing I do appreciate about Dr. Fauci. He will not let someone manipulate his words. And his words are always, they're fairly cautious, and they're not confrontational. So I appreciate that. Climate, Evan S. Climate, not quinine.
Are right now at 2,000.
Oh, hi, Cairo, and hi, Evan, by the way. I didn't say hi to you yet.
New infections a day, and 25,000 new infections a day, and 2,000 deaths a day.
right.
And that's where we are right now.
And, okay.
Yeah.
And, okay, whatever. So anyway, that's one of the questions. Let's see. Let's move on here. Somebody named Horowitz says, we know that the majority who contract COVID-19 are asymptomatic. That changes everything. It was self-evident from day one that once we learned how widespread the virus has been for weeks before we reacted, the fatality rate would plummet. But what has also become increasingly clear is the rate of those who are asymptomatic. This revelation has numerous public policy implications regarding what can and should be done to mitigate the spread of the virus. Now, let me, before I even move on this subject, so we've talked about we talk about the China travel ban or travel restrictions that the president did on January 31st, and we talk about the restrictions to Europe and whatnot. And I've been thinking about this whole scenario a lot. Now, we're finding cases, like in France, they found cases that had probably originated in December, and we found I think a case in New York too that was earlier than the case they originally found in January, and possibly a case in December also. Here's what I think, and this is, I'm just spitballing here, and maybe I'll be proven right, maybe I'll be proven wrong. I think, and also the fact that the actual first case in China now is early November, as they're figuring out. I think that this virus was spreading big time around the world long before we started having cases where people were dying, because the asymptomatic, and as we're finding out, there's a large percentage of asymptomatic cases. So these asymptomatic cases started spreading in, all during December, and there's millions and millions of people travel in and out of China all the time. I mean, they we get, I think, anyway, whatever. And they're traveling all over the world, right? And so a lot of these cases were asymptomatic, but then they started having some cases in China that were dying. They, some of these people were getting really sick, but most weren't. So people were traveling like at Wuhan, daily flights, New York, daily flights, and then people were getting it in Europe. And I always talk about Fashion Week in New York City because Cairo, I love that place. Cairo, Alabama. I always talk about Fashion Week because in New York they say that they think most of the cases travel through Europe before getting to New York. And Fashion Week, the second week of February, 200,000 visitors in New York City for Fashion Week, a huge number of them from Europe. And that's when, just a couple weeks later, is when you started seeing the cases start to grow in Italy. You started seeing them in Spain and then France. Okay, and if you think about how Italy, geographically, how Europe's set up, Italy, Spain, France, right? Italy, France, Spain. I got it backwards. But so all these asymptomatic cases have been traveling around for a very long time. And so this idea that would have been stopped by the travel restrictions from China it probably stopped some, but not nearly early enough. And the problem with that is we didn't have any idea that this had been growing in China for almost 2 months. And so then when China also put restrictions on travel from Wuhan to other Chinese cities, but not to the rest of the world, that's how it got all around the world, and probably via plane travel mostly. I'm sure planes were little incubator boxes. Clearly the subways in New York City were little incubator boxes, and they finally decided they're finally going to sanitize the subways every day as of a week ago, which I cannot believe they didn't think of that earlier. I'm surprised they didn't shut the subways down completely, but then that would have shut down New York, which it's, for all practical purposes, is now. But So that's why we're seeing cases in every country in the world. Because the asymptomatic people were already traveling. They were already everywhere. They were already infected. They were already surfaces of planes already had this virus on them. So anyway, let's get back into this article. The revelation that numerous the entire contained or confined populations or those randomly sampled have now been tested, and the results all point to the same outcomes. On the Diamond Princess cruise ship, a new study from London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine shows that 72% of those infected aboard the Diamond Princess were asymptomatic. Previously, the estimated percentage of asymptomatic individuals was 46.5%. On the U.S. Theodore Roosevelt, of the 1,102 confirmed cases of COVID-19 on board, 60% were asymptomatic. Only 7 were hospitalized, and 1 person died. So of those 1,000 plus cases, only 7 were hospitalized, and only 1 person died. That's pretty low percentage, right? On the Charles de Gaulle, 1,046 sailors out of 1,760 on board the French aircraft carrier tested positive for the virus. There were 0 deaths, 2 remained hospitalized. According to the New York Times, about half were asymptomatic. In the prisons seem to have an especially high... Now, and you got to wonder, how did this virus even get into the prisons or onto these ships? That's the other thing. How, granted, now they may have docked somewhere and gone on shore, but again, how does this spread? Well, it spreads because asymptomatic people are spreading it all over the world. Otherwise, they wouldn't be getting on these ships. Anyway, prisons seem to have an especially high rate of asymptomatic cases. According to Reuters, a tally of 3,277 inmates in state prisons in Arkansas, North Carolina, Ohio, and Virginia who had tested positive for the virus showed that 96% of those who tested positive were asymptomatic. 1,300 tested positive in one Tennessee prison. 98% were asymptomatic, 6 were hospitalized, and 1 died. So they're letting all these people out of prisons in some of these states, but 98% of the cases are asymptomatic. Very few end up being hospitalized, and a tiny percentage died. I'm going to guess the 1 person that died in that particular prison probably had some other health issues, right? But they've let all these people out of prisons in California and some of these other states. Ooh, not a good move, Jackson. An entire female prison in San Gabriel, Louisiana was tested, and 85% were positive. How the fuck did all these people in these prisons get this virus? But 3/4 were asymptomatic. Pregnant women in labor, a group of doctors at the New York Presbyterian Allen Hospital and Columbia University Irving Medical Center tested 215 women delivering babies between March 22nd and April 4th, my birthday, 2020. This is a good random sample because they were not tested based on symptoms. The result, 33 tested positive, and 29 of those were initially asymptomatic. 3 of the initially 29 asymptomatic patients eventually developed symptoms of the virus, which would mean that in total, 79% were asymptomatic. In the meatpacking plants, 412 of the 2,367 workers at Triumph Food Plant in St. Joseph, Missouri tested positive. All of them were asymptomatic, and there have been 0 deaths among those workers so far. Homeless population, a Boston homeless shelter tested the 408 residents and found that 36% tested positive, of which 87.8% were asymptomatic. Nursing homes, even in nursing homes with a sick and elderly population that is more susceptible to fatal cases of COVID-19, many of them are still asymptomatic. A survey published at the New England Journal of Medicine at an anonymous nursing home found that more than half with positive results were asymptomatic. In another nursing home in Washington State, 56% of those who tested positive were asymptomatic. One nursing home in Miami County, Ohio, tested every resident last week, and so far all of those who tested positive have no symptoms. So here's the implications. One, initially the experts used the fear of asymptomatic transmission as a means of pushing for universal lockdown. But that only makes sense if the number of asymptomatic are a minority and we are at the beginning of a transmission phase in which such a lockdown could work. Now we see the opposite is true. The overwhelming majority of those infected are asymptomatic, which grows to an absolute supermajority when you factor in the mildly symptomatic. The fatality rate is therefore very small and very confined to a known population. Thus, it makes no sense to lock down younger and healthier people who overwhelmingly don't get seriously ill, much less deathly ill, even if they contract the virus. Number two, now that the virus has already spread far and wide in prisons for months and most are asymptomatic, there is no justification to release prisoners. In fact, not only would this endanger public safety, it is also a greater health concern because they would be releasing a younger, more asymptomatic population into the general population. Coronavirus jailbreak has become such a joke that the threat of death is so low that inmates in LA County were caught trying to infect each other. You'll have to check that story out. 3, contact tracing of the entire country is utterly insane. Most people have been spreading this virus while asymptomatic for months. What's left to trace? Ding! And finally, by going back to normal and basic precautions for the most of the population, we will be able to achieve herd immunity much less painfully than previously thought, while shielding the more vulnerable population. The threshold of 70% contracting a virus in order to achieve herd immunity is only true for diseases like measles and mumps, which affect the population more or less evenly, but the target of this virus is very lopsided and heterogeneous. You know what I'm trying to say. According to a recent simulation by European, American, and Brazilian researchers, heterogeneous populations require less infections to cross their herd immunity thresholds than homogeneous models would suggest, possibly as low as 10%. That fact, and that so many of the more exposed and vulnerable already got it, and so many more were asymptomatic, means we could achieve herd immunity much quicker with fewer lives lost, certainly compared to a lockdown. Finally, it's important to remember that now that it's clear that the majority of those who contract the virus do not develop pronounced symptoms, we must revisit the death count itself. We now know that even seniors, while more vulnerable to fatal cases, that the rest of the population still often develop asymptomatic versions of the virus, coding every death, especially among nursing home residents, as COVID-19 deaths, so long as they test positive, even if they don't exhibit those particular symptoms, is indefensible. They should have never been doing that bullshit. But now we don't know how many people have actually died from this disease because they code everything as COVID-19. So there you go. All right. Do I have time for anything else? I'm kind of running out of time here. Let's see. I'll just get to the all right. Oh, yes, Fauci. The consequences could be really serious if reopening guidelines are ignored. How long is this one? We'll see. 3 minutes. Nah, we already done this up, so we're gonna skip that one. What is this crap? That's not what I wanted. Customer rewards. Brit Hume. Oh, yeah, we'll get into Mueller. We'll get it back into other stuff today. We'll make this the official coronavirus day. And let's see. Oh, but just a couple things. There have been some special elections in the last couple of days, and it looks like the California 25 race where Cenk Uygur ran in the preliminary but got his ass kicked. Well, apparently it looks like that seat, they haven't officially announced it yet, but it looks like that could be gone to Republicans. What's his name? Mike Garcia looks like he's going to defeat Christy Smith in that district. There's a district in Wisconsin. Let's see. In special elections are favored to keep the seat vacated by former Representative Sean Duffy. Just thought that was interesting that in California, that seat where Katie Hill, the the threesome lady that was doing bong hits naked in her shower or something like that, and combing her staffer's hair naked and all that shit. Anyway, that seat looks like it's going to be a Republican seat unless all the what do they call it, vote harvesting shit they do in California that's legal there works out for them. So anyway, all right, so now this would be a good time to check out the Twitter trends real quick. By the way, there is also. Oh, well, thank you, Black Hebrew Israelite, 420 super chat. That's the first super chat of the day. Thank you, sir. Whoops, that's not what I meant to hit. That's not the wrong one. Hey, they should be.
That's right.
All right, if we want. Okay, Black Hebrew Israelite says, if we want to fuck China, all we have to do is tariff all American companies who have plants still in China to encourage them to return home and move the supply chain out of China.
That's right.
Remove China ownership of American media, sports, and entertainment.
That's right.
All right. There you go. Thank you, Black Hebrew Israelite. I tend to agree with that sentiment. I'll tell you that right now. Also, quick thank you to Chaos Eve and Dar. Oh, okay. For liking my tweet. Thank you, Becca Farley, who tweeted out the show this morning. As always, I do always appreciate that. Jay Wolf, Becca Farley, Cindy. Oh my gosh, I blanked on Cindy's last name. Cindy always does that too. Rochelle. All right, couple funny things. One, apparently, AOC. Thank you, Jay Wolf. This is more of a hashtag type article here, but we'll just get to it. Apparently, AOC. Let's see, was removed. Let me get this on the screen correctly. AOC removed from Union-backed Progressive Party ballot in New York. Oh, Representative Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez was booted from the Progressive Union-backed Working Families Party ballot line by a Queens judge, a blow to her potentially competitive Democratic primary fight. The freshman lawmaker was removed from the primary ballot after receiving only 13 signatures from members of the progressive group that has dubbed itself the Tea Party of the Left, too short of what she needed to get on the ballot. Now she won't be on the WFP ballot line in the November general election either, said Martin O'Connor, attorney for AOC's Democratic opponent Michelle Caruso Cabrera. AOC tells Democratic Socialists to gradually layer Americans with ideas like they're in school. AOC has hurt working people. Okay, this is a quote from the Caruso Cabrera. AOC has hurt working people of the Bronx and Queens with her votes and creates disunity within our party. Oh, shots fired. Caruso Cabrera told the New York Daily News. No wonder why pro-union forces don't want her, and neither do our neighborhoods. Oh. Cabrera has said the leftist firebrand is out of touch with the needs of her blue-collar district. So anyway, they say, oh, what the hell? Okay, it was all clean. So anyway, that's interesting. and from the hashtag, we'll check that real quick. The latest in the hashtag. Let's see. Pennsylvania Governor Wolf threatens to pull funding. Oh, by the way, did you hear California? Any of you from California? Los Angeles County has decided to extend their stay-at-home orders for 3 more months. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you trying to get people killed? Or start riots? I don't know. That's nuts. Anyway, real quick here. All right. Pennsylvania Governor Wolf threatens to pull funding from county. Uh-oh. Let's read this one. Pennsylvania governor threatens to pull funding from counties that reopen against his orders. Oh. Governor Tom Wolf of Pennsylvania is popping his lid at the notion that counties are planning on opening up without his approval. Oh, they don't have your approval. Ugh. And in defiance of his orders. In the minds of Democrats, only they are allowed to decree when businesses are allowed to operate. In fact, Governor Wolf is vowing to withhold funding from these counties. Wolf somehow framing this as an act of surrender or cowardice. because somehow in the minds of Democrats, it's brave to stay quarantined in your own home. So anyway, a revolt by a dozen or more Pennsylvania counties who are opening up their businesses against the dictatorial edicts of Democratic Governor Tom Wolf has apparently thrown him in a blind rage, which was further exacerbated by a tweet from President Trump in support of some Pennsylvania patriots and a news conference by state senator and gubernatorial aspirant Doug Mastriano, in which he called for the resignation of the incompetent health secretary Rachel Levine. Wolf attacked business owners who reopened from the coronavirus shutdowns before they are allowed, and the politicians who have encouraged them, calling them cowardly, threatening serious consequences to both groups. So he's going to revoke state license for businesses that open up early, stop some state funding of county governments, saying businesses that open before the state allows could lose licenses that are required to operate, including liquor licenses, health certificates, and certificates of occupancy. Well. Somebody needs to stop that asshole, but, I don't know. In a legal way, I mean, like, go through the legislature or take him to court and tell him the big F-O, right? All right. Oh, Pat. Pat's here? Who said at your boy Pat? Well, here, you must be. Let me see this. At Oh, Pat. How you doing, Pat? I didn't see you there. All right, let's finish up with the trends, because see what's happening in the world. Obviously, on the Explore tab, COVID-19 is still topic number one. Coronavirus. U.S. facing a lasting economic damage if government fails to act. The Federal Reserve warned. You know what? I know what the government can do to act. And it's, if the government wouldn't have to act, if they find a way to open up. I stand with Rand. How's that sound? Maybe that should be the hashtag of the day. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell warned on Wednesday that the U.S. economy will experience longer-term concerns if policymakers fail to address risk of a prolonged recession in the wake of COVID-19. Okay, look, here's the thing. We've already screwed the pooch a little bit here, folks. There's going to be plenty of companies that are not going to be able to come back from this, even if we opened up today. Now, granted, there's going to be, look, recession-wise, at least, I don't care about the recession numbers, because when we do open back up, it won't be a long-term recession, because there will be some immediate uptick in the economy, but it's not going to be the uptick that matches what we've already lost. And there are businesses that are already done. There's no way they're going to come back. There are, I wouldn't say industries, but there are industries that are going to take a while to get back into it, particularly travel, transportation, those kinds of industries. If they're not hauling, if they're hauling people, they're going to have a hard time. But if we do what Los Angeles County does, 3 months, people can't live 3 months. People can't live 3 months. That's stupid. I don't know what they're thinking. I have no idea what they're thinking. Anyway, let's go into trends real quick. If I can find trends, they've messed this thing. They've changed these tabs. I don't think they want you to see what the trends are anymore. It's kind of weird, but they changed these tabs. All right, here's what's happening here. I want trending. There we go. Trending number one on this fine Wednesday is Wednesday morning. I'm going to skip the day ones. I'm running out of time here. Unreal Engine 5, that's a game, I believe, has something to do with the gaming. Epic reveals the revolutionary Unreal Engine 5 with a stunning tech demo running in real time on PlayStation 5. We're on PlayStation 5 already? What happened to PlayStation 4? I didn't even know we went to Now, I know Xbox went into, because my son just got the latest Xbox. I'm like, what is that? But anyway, we spoke to Epic to find out about this true generational leap So if you want to check that out, there are some demos online of this game. It looks like it's stunning. Here's some pictures from it. That is quite stunning. Look how realistic that looks. That's amazing. Holy shit. And it's beautiful too. Wow, that is awesome. Anyway, so yeah, it's called what's the game called again? Unreal Engine 5. I'm very I'm very wary of showing any game footage on this particular stream, especially if it's something that's just released, because they like to yeet your channel and shit. Trending number 2. Oh, now it's trending number 1. It already moved, and now trending number 2 Wednesday morning. Trending number 3. Oh, subpoena Obama. Well, you know what? Here's my prediction, because it's trending number 3, and that's an organically probably organic. I'm gonna guess within the hour, subpoena Trump will be trending, and it'll probably be trending higher than subpoena Obama, because that's how Twitter works, even if there's not as many people tweeting it. Now here, tweet subpoena Obama because Putin's little bitch is whining. You know what? Subpoena Obama because, well, I suppose there's people who could tweet subpoena before Obama, but he knew. We know he knew now, because Sally Yates told us in a hearing, but that hearing was kept secret till Thursday. Sally Yates said she learned about the General Flynn investigation from Obama, and about the notes from his call with Kislyak. She learned about the phone call contents from Obama, who pretended he didn't know shit about it. And Joe Biden that interview with, who did he do the interview with? He did the interview with George Stephanopoulos. That was an interesting interview. We'll get to that later. Anyway, but people are talking about, of course, the people who hate Trump are talking about subpoena. Did Trump tweet that this morning? Is that why this is trending? Is it trending because Trump tweeted it? Because it doesn't look like it. Who started this subpoena Obama thing? Well, anyway, Brian Krassenstein, or his uglier twin brother, who tweet under the name of one of their wives, says, the same people calling on to subpoena Obama over a debunked conspiracy theory are the ones who believe Trump should be completely immune from the rule of law, even though he obviously committed crimes. Really? What crime? Name the crime. Give me the evidence. There's certainly no one's shown any. If you are one of these people, you need a mental health exam. What debunked conspiracy theory are we talking about, Ms. Krassenstein? I mean, Brian, or your uglier twin brother who tweet under the name of one of your wives? What debunked conspiracy theory? The documents are coming out, bitch. I'm just saying. God, the documents, I'm just saying. So subpoena Obama is now a thing. Does Trump really think it's best to set the president of a former president being subpoenaed, especially given his guilty ass will soon be a former president? Dumb fuck. Well, I don't know. I guess we'll find out. Trump approval rating by gender in new CNN poll. Men 51% to 46, women 39 to 56. Okay. What the hell is wrong with 51% of men? Nothing. So there. Anyway, I don't know. I don't know who started this. I don't know why it's trending. We'll just keep changing the hashtags every day. Keep them working hard to expose their censorship. Everyone in Obamagate gets a subpoena Obama. Tomorrow, arrest Obama. By the way, subpoena was one of my favorite words I had to spell in the New York State spelling bee when I was in 8th grade. See, the funniest thing about this is most of these people have no idea. They have no idea of the details. I laugh because I was talking to my mother-in-law, and I was, she has TDS a little bit, And she's just going on and on and on and on about Trump and this and that. And then I said, well, wait a minute. You realize the document said that these people knew all this stuff, right? There are documents that were released on Thursday. Did you know that? No, there isn't. That's just a conspiracy theory. I said, the documents they're out. So anyway, interesting. Subpoena Obama's trending. Again, maybe even before the end of this show, Subpoena Trump will be trending, I bet. Paul Manafort is out of prison. And heads explode across America. Trump's former campaign manager, who is serving more than 7 years sentence for charges related to the Robert Mueller investigation. You know, it's hilarious how they say it's related to the Robert Mueller investigation. False. That is 100%. I mean, well, it's not false, but it's so misleading. He's serving a 7-year sentence for charges from actions he took in 2010 when he was working with Tony Podesta of the Podesta Group, who's John Podesta's brother. That's their company. When they were, but they don't want to say that. They don't want to mention Podesta, who got immunity. How the fuck did he get immunity? And then Paul Manafort goes to jail. They were working together. Anyway, he's released from home confinement over COVID-19 health concerns. Well, we learned that maybe we shouldn't be letting people out of jail because of COVID-19, but I got a chuckle that Paul Manafort is one of the ones who is on home confinement. Anyway, Stevie Wonder's trending because it's his birthday. Happy 70th birthday to Stevie Wonder, one of the legends of music in the United States. Wednesday Wisdom's trending, Boozy's trending. I don't really follow the music trending stuff. But Boozy's kind of funny because he just don't give no fucks about well, I don't know. Anyway, Boozy admits to having grown women perform sexual acts on sons and nephews. I suppose it depends on how old his sons and nephews are. This Boozy situation is why I hate homophobes. Oh my God. What? Because they quick to say he's too young to know if he likes boys, but it's okay to force some pussy on him. Oh my God. Okay. Imagine the outrage if Boozy was discussing his daughters in his manner. That's okay. Let's see what it says here. Do we want to hear this?
Max, my son. Yeah. They were 12, 13. They got hit. Yeah. That's how it's supposed to be. Yeah. Hell yeah, I got my fucking son dick sucked. You fucking right. Yes, a grown woman. Grown, super grown. Super grown. Checked his ass out. Checked all my nephews out. Super grown. Is she grown? She checked me out. I know what the fuck she did to them.
Okay, probably not a good thing to admit on a live stream. I think the authorities might be visiting Boozy sometime soon. Okay, moving on. Nayeon is K-pop thing. I don't think Patrice Ripley's here, my K-pop aficionado, so I'm not gonna know what that is. K-pop. Oh, K-pop stands party. K-pop stands are over party. Uh-oh. So what happens a lot on Twitter this time of day in particular, for some reason, all the K-pop fans are out in force and they put little, fan videos on every hashtag and whatnot, and every once in a while they'll have some party as so-and-so is over. But now someone's throwing it back at them. K-pop stands are over party. Now that is, woo, if you know how completely if you know how completely insane the K-pop fans are, this is probably gonna be a fight for the death all day long. In my opinion, everyone is just toxic. This has been My TED Talk. Now please go to sleep. K-pop stands are over party. K-pop stand. You know what? I agree. Let's just listen to whatever music we want and chill out with the wholesome vibes. I really don't like K-pop, but I ain't gonna judge the music others like. I mean, yeah, the fan base can be toxic as fuck, but it isn't all fan bases. Okay, I'm gonna stay out of this one. Sorry. The Rams is trending. Jared Jeff reveals Rams uniform release date. Apparently they're getting new on a Twitch stream, so the Rams are getting new uniforms. Red Lobster's trending. Oh my God, why is Red Lobster trending? I saw Red Lobster trending and thought they were filing for bankruptcy. Y'all don't scare me like that. Red Lobster's like the KFC of seafood. You got us waiting 3 hours for food, bitch. Make something at home. It's Mother's Day. Why would you want Red Lobster? Oh, this is because some Karen went berserk. Okay, here we go. This is why Red Lobster's trending, because this woman got a little upset about something here. Let's see. Woman upset that she has to wait 3 hours for food from Red Lobster on Mother's Day when the restaurant has a reduced staff. Now, interesting. My son drove home from Fargo on Mother's Day to surprise my wife, and then but he wanted to order some food and have it, have a nice dinner, and but he called several restaurants, and all of them had like 2 or 3 hours before you could pick up food. So anyway, this is why Red Lobster's trending.
Call 911, somebody.
This lady went nuts. Gotta have my Red Lobster on Mother's Day. I got to have my Red Lobster on Mother's Day.
Get off me. No. Get out. Get out. Stop it. Get her off me. I am coming in and I'm getting my refund. You're just taking off the guard right next to the computer.
I'm mad about a 3-hour wait. It was Mother's Day. Hey, look, more like the chum bucket of seafood. Yeah, you know what? They should. Oh, now she told the whole world her name too. All right, enough. Okay, that's why Red Lobster's trending. Is that why? Let's see here. Folks really out there fighting over some Red Lobster during a pandemic. Ciao. Brooklyn Dad Defiant. Oh, let me see if he found a way to. Oh my God. Yep, he found a way. He found a way to politicize this. You know, if you spent a fraction of the time you spent hating President Obama on a plan for testing, or just not being an asshole, it'd make a difference. But you're still the same asshole who pushed birtherism. So just as bad as a Red Lobster Karen. Correction, worse. Okay, is this what he did? Okay, did he? Okay, never mind. He's replied to some tweet that Trump did. And Weijia Khan, wait a minute, all these people are under Red Lobster Karen. Why is this trending? This has nothing to do with Red Lobster Karen. Anyway, all right, moving on. Let's see. 5 years. Okay, another K-pop one we're skipping. Khloe Kardashian's trending. Why? Because they're broke? Kylie Jenner, after losing her friendship with Jordan, just for Khloe to get pregnant by Tristan again. Okay, I don't follow the Kardashians that much. Wait, so Khloe put Jordan through all that BS just to end up pregnant again by that nigga? I don't know. I don't pay attention to the Kardashians, but apparently everyone... Oh, a lot of people like to talk about the damn Kardashians. Jerome Powell, Fed shares trending. That's because he made his statement this morning. We'll skip that one. Unreal 5 is dropped. Wait a minute, Unreal 5. Okay, Unreal here, and then Unreal here. Okay, that's down here. Greta Thunberg is trending. Now this is kind of funny. For some damn reason, CNN is promoting teenage activist Greta Thunberg as an expert panelist for its coronavirus facts and fears town hall. What? place, and this is Yashir Ali asked the correct question here, what place does Greta Thunberg have in this town hall? That's some exploitative shit right there. Now, there's Sanjay Gupta, that dumb doctor, and this guy is a doctor, and that's Kathleen Sebelius, I think. Kathleen Sebelius, who's a government official. Why the fuck is she there? I don't give two
You're a lying dog.
That's the wrong one. I don't give two shits about what Greta Thunberg has to say.
How dare you?
She's not a scientist. I don't care what she has to say about global fucking climate change, warming, cooling, whatever. She's still 60. The left, 16-year-old Greta Thunberg, who dropped out of high school, is a climate science expert. Also the left, Rand Paul, who completed medical school at Duke, specialized in ophthalmology, and became a surgeon, isn't a doctor. Yeah. CNN taps Greta Thunberg for expert coronavirus panel. What's she an expert on? Skipping school? Being out of school? She was already out of school. She didn't get out of school because of coronavirus. When she has a master's degree in chemistry, I'll take her seriously. Thank you, Tales of Gore. I'm saying. And yes, Tech Your Logic. No, I'm not a lying dog faced pony soldier. But Greta Thunberg is.
How dare you?
A high school dropout. Why? Oh. Why? Medical correspondent Sanjay Gupta, former acting CDC director Richard Besser, former HHS secretary Kathleen Sebelius, and Greta Thunberg. God. Why? All right, let's see what else they got here. Barely legal. I don't even want to know what that's for. That's probably because of Boozy. Women for Trump was trending this morning. People were freaking out about something about women for Trump, and it got trending today. And so all the Trump haters were, I'm not going to click it because just people bitching about women for Trump. Hump Day. I'm never ever going to click that live on the stream because, like I said, it's always buttholes, balls, and boobs. That's all you see on Hump Day, the Twitter. If you want to go on to Twitter and see some buttholes, balls, and boobs, click Hump Day and scroll a little bit. It may not show up right away, but I'm telling you, it shows up. Our Lady of Fatima, that I don't know what that is. All right, that's anything else interesting? Why is Reality Winner trending? Oh, did she get out of jail too? Reality Winner's trending. While Trump allies gain early releases from BOP, Reality Winner remains incarcerated and is being denied treatment according to her mother. Denied treatment for what? My daughter, Reality Winner called 2 times already today. She is not okay. The lockdown of the prison is having the worst possible impact on her and all inmates. Well, yeah, being locked up is not cool, okay? It's not supposed to be cool. Imagine being locked up inside with no end in sight. She has been denied psych treatment. She is not eating. I am scared. Well, I don't think that's cool that she's in jail. But I don't know. Yeah, for some reason, she's all of a sudden a darling of the left, too. So anyway, all right, I'm done with trends. It's time to go. Hey, remember me? Thank y'all so much for coming today at the Morning Night Live. If you haven't done so already, you should be hip checking that like button right now before you go. If you're here this long, you must have liked it. So hey, hit that thumbs up on the way out the door. Also, thank you so much for the people who shared the stream out. If you haven't, please do that too. And or if you're watching on replay, leave a comment in the comment section so I can acknowledge that you were here. I always appreciate people who throw some comments in there. In fact, even if you were here the whole time, hey, come back and throw a comment in there anyway. Finally, if you are inclined or able and you want to help the stream out and make it a financial whatever, if you want to help us out financially or throw a tip in the tip jar, you can do that at the Streamlabs link down in the description down below or at PDawg.night.live right there. Also follow me on Twitter, Minds and Gabs, right over there. If you're on one of those platforms, at PDawg Night, no spaces. Dog spelled like the Georgia dogs, and Knight because I'm a knight in shining armor, baby. P stands for Prince, by the way. I don't know if you know that story. Some of you do. Anyway, that's it for today. I don't see the likes growing. Hit those like button before you go. And thank you so much. I think that's it. I don't think I have anything else to say. I really don't. Oh wait, I know. My name is PDawg Knight, and I'm out of here. Watch the new outro. Bing! Hey, this is PDawg Knight, and thank you for watching today on the PDawg Knight channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comments section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterward so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through the Streamlabs link, which is also in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm PDawg Knight, and I'm out of here.